What's up out there, fitness freaks of the world? It's Mr. Fit, Mr. Tim Brennan of Odd Fitness, coming back at you with another one. This time, it's about while the youth and adolescents should also fit max. So, I believe, in my opinion, for myself, this is where it allowed me to become the person I am today and have the grit and desire to stay in fantastic shape for my whole life, because it does offer a lot, and we're just going to go through a little bit about it right now. Working out for the youth, as you know, is very beneficial because you're in such a vulnerable state just being a child, a young girl, or a young boy growing up in this world at all. I was, before all the social media and before internet really took off, I had AOL and such, and it wasn't nearly as extreme and pronounced as it is today. But having a little pre-workout before I get the old workout going, I would say that the youngsters working out, there's something profound that happens when you start young, and that is you build a sense of work ethic and a good sense of confidence overall as a young person. When you begin to train your body and you're also going through puberty and you're climbing the hierarchy ladder inside your school, or perhaps you're privately schooled, either way you'll still have peers that you'll meet up with, and young adults, teenagers, and 20-somethings, and then the adults that you'll talk to. And this is profound stuff to grab a hold of your body and turn it into something that is going to help you create a more quality life, rather than letting your body spill out all over the place and fall into bad habits of smoking early or doing drugs early. Bad eating habits in general, drinking too much soda, getting poor sleep. Instead, if you reach out, or even better, if an adult reaches out to you and helps you start achieving some physical goals as a young person, this can put you in a better spot in your life moving forward throughout your adolescence into teenage years, young adulthood, and then finally maturity. So the sense of confidence that it builds for a young person is extremely great. You're at a pivotal point in your life where you're looking after your peers, and this day and age they're following what's hot on social media, the current trends, and everybody's in a surveillance state now. It's always being recorded, and there's a possibility that you can grip onto some pretty bad trends. For instance, the saltine cracker or cinnamon challenge, where you're taking so much cinnamon in, or saltine crackers that you can nearly choke. There's a lot of stupidness going on, and that can be alarming and ruin your adolescence, ruin those early years in your life. But having a good coach nearby, a good male role model, a good female role model for the ladies, this can put you eons ahead of your peers. Not like it's something to be, ahead of your peers and like stomp them out, but you don't want to be lagging too far behind. You want to build up this self-esteem, and team building is also a huge part of this. So that's why sports and young kids, the teachers that help out, baseball coaches, gym coaches, wrestling coaches, they're here to help kids become young, positive people to excel them into a better part of their life. it keeps kids out of trouble. I remember learning about the bad boys and bad girls when I was young, and I didn't want any part of that anyways. And that didn't help that I grew up very poor. I did have no father figure growing up, but I did have two brothers. One of them was an older brother, very masculine. He did a lot of mechanic work and worked with his hands, wasn't afraid to get dirty. And we were all rough and tumble boys, and I had a great group of friends. And we all beat the shit out of each other and got into all sorts of trouble and broke into abandoned buildings. And we had to be a little risky. And we had to do dumb stuff. And some great coaches, some good male role models inside the school system, starting for me as early as 7th grade. Shout out to some of the teachers, Mr. Kiley, Mr. Moberly, wrestling coach, and a football wrestling coach and gym coach, some gym teachers in high school. Now, I was never pushed towards physical fitness. It's something I always was attracted to. I remember seeing Hulk Hogan as a young kid, Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, all the great bodybuilders of the 80s and 90s, all these cats. And I always thought, that looks like the best road to take. These guys look happy, they look strong, they're powerful, they look invincible, they're whooping ass 24/7. Wrestling culture, the WWE, WCW, and throughout the 90s. I'll say I got into it 97, most of all 97 and up. These people were unstoppable, larger than life characters. But I was always, even before I knew anything about that, I was already pumping my biceps up and doing push-ups. Nobody showed me this. I was always attracted to it, always wanted to do it. So I started real early, and I remember I picked up an old weightlifting bench when I moved to Colorado from Connecticut when I was 10 years old, in this old shed at my Aunt Patty's house. And I dusted off this old blue, looked like it was from the 80s, old bench, dusted it off, put it together, found those concrete brick weights. There are these little ones, there's 10s, 25s, they're gold and ugly purple colors. And I slid it onto the bar, found some clips, and I just started working out. Nobody showed me shit, I just knew how to do it. Started pumping up, started getting swole with it at a very young age. I was only 10 years old, and I started working out consistently, and it was a good thing. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I have never let up since. I've only gotten more extreme into it, and the fire has never dimmed. In fact, it just keeps growing daily. Now that I'm 41 and gonna mature into an older man, I want to stay in peak physical condition, continue this throughout my life, and share the knowledge with other young people. Show them the way that you don't have to age like old milk. You don't have to do that. Instead, you can age gracefully, and you can stay in shape and be flexible and move around and keep the joints healthy. You can do this. We can all do this. So, as a youngster, holding on to some of these male influencers, especially in the school, male role models, super important, and they showed me better nutrition habits, and that's something I did kind of understand, but we're really poor growing up. So I talked to one of my wrestling coaches, Mr. Kiley, and he showed me how to eat better. I have an Uncle Jeff that I visited first time when I was 17 years old, and he taught me more about nutrition as well. And I was already on the nutrition game even when I was 14 years old, already eating whole grain and better cuts of meat and having fruit at lunchtime, and not eating the stuff they're selling us kids in the high schools is crazy. Coke machines in all corners of the building, and then for lunch, Chinese food, fried chicken and white rice, no vegetables. Arby's sandwiches, Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A. These were the options, and I wasn't having it. I didn't have the money for it, first of all, but I would get better cuts of turkey, whole grain, Milton's bread, and bring a milk. And I was already eating protein bars. Back in my day, 1999, Power bars were it. There wasn't much going on in the way of protein bars at all. Protein shakes. There was run-of-the-mill chocolate, vanilla protein, cinnamon if you're lucky. And I was already up on it. And I was drinking milks. And I was drinking reduced fat milk. And tried to stay away from chocolate milk because of the sugar. Like, I just knew already that it wasn't going to help. And then I learned how to use the sugar if we're going to go do a wrestling match. Drop the weight. Get the weight under control. As well, I was like 14 years old. Get the weight under control, and then at lunchtime have a couple slices of pizza, have chocolate milk, put your weight back on, use all that energy to get inside your wrestling match and dominate your opponent. So I understood that, but I saw just large amounts of crap food being sent throughout the school, and I was disgusted by it. And I thought, how irresponsible of adults and soda companies to give this to our youth as we're growing up. It's almost guaranteeing them a big old plate of diabetes when they hit mid-30s, 40 years old, if they don't get it under control. So that's some of my thoughts about what was going on in school, but I was really glad we had some great coaches. As far as the youth working out, it'll produce a great body image, and I know right now kids, young adults, young men, young women alike are suffering from huge body image inflation, and boys don't think they're muscular enough, women don't think they're thin enough or curvy in the right space, right spots enough. But all this is just fluff, and it's internet crap. What you should be looking for is a healthy physique, a healthy body that works right and gives good skin, makes you feel good, and allows you to stay out of the hospital, allows you to stay within a good range of optimal health that you just can't get from taking a single pill, or you can't buy this sort of thing. It's something you have to earn by working out hard and consistently and eating the right food, sleeping right, and not falling into bad habits like vaping or smoking cigarettes or doing early amounts of cannabis. Now, don't get me wrong, this channel, I'm all about cannabis and entheogens and psychedelics and all that, but as a youngster, I didn't partake in that. When I first used cannabis when I was 19 years old, 19 and a half years old. Before that, I didn't want to touch the stuff, and I seen what it was doing to my friends. It made them lazy. They're eating all these Cheetos because they're high. They say they get the munchies. I finally gave it a whirl myself, and I was blown away by the effects. I haven't looked back. I love the stuff, but it doesn't have much place in the youth, if you ask me. There's not a reason for youngsters to do large amounts of cannabis or psychedelics in general. Smoking cigarettes, alcohol, any of these things did not mess with that. Not until I was 19 years old. And then I had to harness it in and use it correctly, because what I've learned is, even to this day, you can't play the getting stoned game and then go work out. You have to get into the workout mindset, and then if you are going to be stoned, already be there at the gym when it's kicking in, or doing calisthenics, push-ups or whatnot. Already be in that sort of position, working out, know the goal at hand, know the focus. But I don't do this wake and bake stuff. That's not part of my routine at all. I have a good breakfast, shower, pre-workout or caffeine products long before I'm doing any entheogens and cannabis and whatnot. There's just no place for that. So building the good habits for the young kids, showing them how to run this body, because there's just barely any classroom talk about this. There's the class that you take, sex education, about puberty and such, and they give you a watered down, sanitized version of what is going to happen to young men and young women as they go through the puberty changes. But they don't ever tell you about how to run a great physical shop, and how the physical can lead to mental, which can lead to spiritual, encompassing a whole range of a productive human being that is happy to be alive, that has a good self-esteem, that doesn't rely on others to make them happy, that's responsible for themselves, that understands that their actions have consequences and the responsibility is on their shoulders. They are the shopkeeper, they're the manager, and they determine what goes down their mouth into their stomach to be absorbed into energy to become something. It's either going to be a good outcome or a not so good outcome. It's all on them, but I think there needs to be a lot more information and education about how to eat as a human being to produce the right outcome for a high quality life. So with the youth getting into physical fitness, working out, and becoming part of sports, whether it's wrestling, cheerleading, football, baseball, any of these things, I am a huge proponent. It keeps kids out of trouble. It allows you to trust in authority, the coaches. There's a mentor to look up to, and this goes huge as you're entering from grade school, going all the way up to high school, and then into college. You get your encouragement to do better in life overall will take place, and you'll feel that, and there's a good push from the adults. They see you're on the right track. They're going to give you more attention and more effort, and this is huge for all of us. There's a sense of belonging overall to your peer group when you are engaging in physical activity, and it leads to a lot of great things like attention from the opposite sex. I noticed this when I was very young. I was 13 or 14 years old on the wrestling team. I already started, because I was already working on my physique for 4 years prior. I already had a build. People noticed the build. I was one of the strongest 8th graders ever out of this Watson Junior High. I had a great bench press as a young kid, and I could do pull-ups. Some kids couldn't do pull-ups at all. I was a better runner than most kids, and I could wrestle. And then I started winning wrestling matches, and I was like, "This is awesome." And then you get attention from the opposite sex, and then women that are participating in cheerleading, they get in better shape. They tend to be more sociable, more personable, and they get attention from the men. And this is just the way it is. It may be stupid high school politics, but I mean, this is the game. Like, and it follows all the way through into our culture today with celebrities. Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift, and it's the hot cheerleader looking chick dating the big bad football player guy. Like, so corny, but that's reality, man. I didn't write that shit. It's just, that's the way it is. But the overall takeaway is that kids need a male role model, and women need a female role model to look up to that's healthy and that shows them that working out can create grit, and it builds determination, and stressing you out, putting the pressure on at a young age. This builds character going into adulthood, and this is going to help you out throughout your whole life. If I didn't join wrestling when I was young and get nervous about going out there in front of 100 people and doing a wrestling match, and then you win some and you lose some, but you live to fight another day, that builds character. That builds what I call CBMs. It's a character building moment, and you need that in life. That's important. It's really important, because you only get so many cracks at it, and if you don't stress yourself adequately, physically, spiritually, mentally, you're going to be left behind. And in this world, we can't afford to be left behind. We got AI creeping up on us, job loss creeping up on us, The economy is absolute doo-doo. We know this. A $20 bill is been marked down. It's an 1/8 of what it's really worth, and we're gonna need to be in peak physical condition, which leads to mental, which leads to spiritual, as always, to get through this big bump in the road. But that's pretty much what I gotta say about that. You kids need this, and right now I know they're taking away physical education from kids and putting, books, and No Child Left Behind with books, and I'm all about that. We need all facets of learning to be taking place right now. And physical, it's been shown, it's documented, being in better physical shape and having better brain capacity overall. This is all intertwined. And not to say that there aren't heavy set people that aren't smart or anything. That's not true. They, of course they are. But overall, we know that if you nail all three, the physical, mental, and spiritual, it's better than just nailing the one. That's a fact. Alright, speaking of physical activity, I'm about to go hit a gym sesh. Alright, I'll see you there. Maybe, I think I might do a workout outside. It's really nice, and if it doesn't rain, that'll make my day. Alright, Odd Fitness, keeping it fit, legit. Make sure to never quit. And remember that you gotta stay fit.